On this Sunday night, pressure mounts on Washington to end a crackdown at the border, detaining and separating families. So what does life look like for those migrant children placed in shelters, their parents now in jail? A former shelter worker speaks out. Also tonight, how Donald Trump's tariffs could help decide an election in Quebec. And the quick-thinking 8-year-old who may have saved his dad's life. How's that for a Father's Day gift? This is The National. For fathers across North America, today was full of tributes. But for thousands of migrant families torn apart by U.S. border officials, today was just another day of anguish. President Trump is expected to discuss his controversial zero-tolerance policy on illegal immigration on Tuesday. But as Paul Hunter reports, today, opposing voices only grew louder.
What do we want? Justice!
It's being called inhumane, un-American, soulless, and the fury has been building for weeks. Today, marching on ad hoc detention centers for the children of illegal migrants. This one outside El Paso.
I don't care where you are on the spectrum as far as immigration is concerned. Separating children from their parents is not the way to go. That is never an acceptable answer.
This one in McAllen, Texas, where more than 1,000 young boys are now housed in a converted Walmart.
Under no moral code and under no religious tradition is this acceptable.
You are not forgotten.
And this demonstration in faraway New Jersey.
The Trump administration has announced a zero-tolerance policy that has zero morality, zero decency, zero integrity, and we will not rest until we shut that policy down.
Zero tolerance means U.S. authorities now prosecute all illegal migrants criminally. Under U.S. law, the children of parents facing such prosecution are taken into government custody. But it's Donald Trump's decision to prosecute, tearing apart families that's angered so many. Last week, Trump tried to deflect blame.
Mr. President, do you agree with children being taken away from...
No, I hate it. I hate the children being taken away. The Democrats have to change their law. That's their law.
But that's not quite true. While irregular border crossings were illegal before Trump, there's no law that requires this kind of hardline approach. And yet, said White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway today,
I will tell you that nobody likes this policy. You saw the president on camera, that he wants this to end.
U.S. authorities say some 2,000 children have been separated from their families in this way from mid-April to the end of May. And as the fury over that continues, that number grows ever larger. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
So as debate rages over the morality of all this, it's worth looking at what those kids face after they're separated from their parents. What do those youth migrant shelters look like? What happens inside them?
Were you scared to come to the United States?
¿Ha venido a Estados Unidos?
Sí.
Looming largest, of course, the pain of separation. But U.S. officials say life inside the shelters themselves is vastly better than facing the perils of the desert. They maintain the children get the same food as U.S. public students get. They go to school and play outside. They are allowed just 2 phone calls a week. And those who have seen inside tell some troubling tales about what else happens. Antar Davidson, a former shelter worker in Arizona, is now speaking out.
A 16-year-old boy, a 10-year-old girl, and an 8-year-old boy, they were told that they were going to separate. And when I arrived to the scene, the 2 younger siblings were grasping the brother and desperately trying to hold on to them. They were all just tearing, weeping. And I said to the brother, I said, in Portuguese, I said, try and be strong. I know it's a hard time. He looks at me with tears streaming down his face and says, how? And then it was at that time that a shift leader ran up to me and told me very aggressively, diles que no pueden abrazar. Tell them that they can't hug. Tell them they can't hug. And I said to her at that point, I said, listen, morally as a human being, I can't do that.
Davidson says among the biggest issues, at least at his facility, experience and training. More pointedly, many shelter workers hardly had any training at all.
Workers received 1 week of training. Most people had been in construction or or restaurants. So they had, and there were very few people. They were always trying to hire people. So they were already ill-prepared to deal with a compliant population.
So what's the answer? What would Davidson tell the American public?
My message to the American public is we call for more transparency, specifically to Attorney General Jeff Sessions and President Donald Trump. The way we're doing it now is not working, and we need more transparency, and we need to do something about this.
And Southwest Key, the nonprofit that runs the facility where Davidson worked, has spoken out since he went public. Its vice president says it takes training its workers seriously and that it cares greatly about the welfare of the kids in its care. As the debate around all this rages, there's more concern and a lot of questions tonight after a high-speed chase at the Texas border, one that turned deadly. Renee Filipponi is following this developing story for us and joins us with the latest. Renee.
Well, Adrian, at least 5 people have been killed, all undocumented immigrants who were involved in that car chase. Now, U.S. Border Patrol say an agent suspected the vehicle was involved in what it's calling a smuggling event, that 2 other cars were pulled over without incident, but the driver of this one just wouldn't stop. 14 people were inside this SUV when it ran off the road, hit gravel, and flipped. Now, police say it was going more than 160 kilometers an hour. Local law enforcement say they knew the driver, who is a U.S. citizen. And that crash happened about 70 kilometers from the Mexican border, just west of a town called Big Wells. The county sheriff says in this area, high-speed pursuits are basically a daily event. And that's why he has been calling for more supports.
Extremely busy. We need assets down here. We have a problem. I think we need more boots on the ground. We need more patrol.
The sheriff also backed the Trump administration's long-promised border wall as the best way forward. And it's unclear where the undocumented immigrants actually came from. The driver was taken into custody by Homeland Security. And Adrian, an investigation is now underway to determine exactly what led to this deadly crash at a time and in a place where tensions over immigration continue to grow.
Okay, Renee, thanks very much. Still to come on tonight's National, safety advocates demand Canada's biggest city take action after 3 cyclists and a pedestrian died this month after being hit by vehicles. The Quebec by-election tomorrow with stakes well beyond the Saguenay, what the winner could say about Trudeau and trade. But first, shunned by Italy, and after a week at sea, hundreds of migrants arrive in Spain. Desperate for shelter and safety, when the promise of refuge appeared on the horizon, they cheered. The prospect of being welcomed by Spain made all the more joyful after some stinging rejections. 1 week ago, they were rescued from rubber dinghies off the coast of Libya by the aid ship Aquarius. But when it tried to dock in Italy and then in Malta, those countries said no. Italy did provide 2 ships to help send them away in greater comfort and safety.
To refuse to allow 630 desperate people to disembark in a port of safety, it cannot be stated as a victory. It's shameful. Yeah. And MSF denounces any European government who is choosing political scoring of points above saving lives at sea.
Spain's new socialist government is giving each of the 630 migrants 1 month to request refugee status. The minister said each case will be handled with sensitivity and at the same time within the law, and with a message to Europe that it doesn't have an immigration policy up to the challenge at hand. So let's bring it back home. What could Donald Trump possibly have to do with a federal by-election in Quebec? Apparently quite a bit. Tomorrow's vote is in an area that produces a lot of aluminum. And as the CBC's Matt Dewar found out, some say Trump's tariffs could affect the outcome.
Candidates in Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord were out for a final campaign push today. It may look like a typical by-election, but here's a sign that it's not. Leaders of the 3 biggest federal parties were here Thursday to lend their support to local candidates. This pollster says the by-election results could be significant.
You would think that this would be prime territory to sort of look if nationally there is momentum for the Conservatives, or is Mr. Trudeau still doing well?
The federal parties are running candidates who are known locally, especially conservative Richard Martel, a former major junior hockey league coach. But there's someone else making waves in the riding. U.S. President Donald Trump and his trade dispute with Canada. About a third of Canada's aluminum is manufactured in the Chicoutimi-Le riding. Bulk says the 10% tariff imposed by the U.S. has people here worried, and that could have an impact on their vote.
People will say this is sort of a referendum on do we stand behind our Prime Minister right now in these times of trouble or not. So I think for the Liberals, if they were to lose this symbolically, it would send a fairly negative message nationally.
When he was here, Trudeau visited a company that specializes in aluminum products.
On est là pour défendre poliment mais fermement nos intérêts.
We're here to politely but firmly defend our interests, he said. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh talked trade as well. There are many communities across the country feeling the sting of this trade dispute, like those home to lumber or the automotive industry, meaning this by-election could be an important test leading up to the next federal election. Matt Damour, CBC News, Montreal.
So there's lots at stake here, but just how much and for who? Earlier, I put that to the host of Power and Politics, Vassy Kapelos. Vassy, history is always written by the victors, but does this win likely mean more to one party than the other?
It definitely could. I mean, by-elections don't necessarily predict what will happen in the federal election, but that election is just about over a year away. So there is a lot of focus from all the federal parties right now on it. All three leaders were campaigning there, Jagmeet Singh, Andrew Scheer, Mr. Trudeau last week. So it is of a lot of importance to them, but it's probably most important to the Conservatives because they have made what you could call an aggressive play for Quebec. They've tried to capitalize on some frustrations there with the federal government over marijuana legalization, over border issues, and they've also tried to capitalize on the separatist vote, and they've brought in someone like a former leader, Michel Gauthier, to campaign for them. They think that they have room to grow in Quebec, and this will really be a test of whether that strategy can work for them in the federal election writ large.
So how much work do they actually have to do in Quebec now?
They have a lot of work to do, most certainly, like they do kind of across the country. Andrew Scheer has had some bumps in the road over the first year of his leadership. The Liberals are popular right now because of what's happening with Donald Trump. He's had some inner turmoil in his office, a new chief of staff, a new DCOM. Maxime Bernier is out of the shadow cabinet. But his biggest problem is that he lacks recognition across the country, and that is true in Quebec as well. We saw an example of that when he was campaigning with his star local candidate, Richard Martel, last week, who is a very well-known guy in the region, a former hockey coach. People were coming up to them saying, can we take your picture with you, Mr. Martel? Like, let's get a selfie. And then they were sort of saying, who's the guy next to you? Because they had no idea who Andrew Scheer was. So just an example of sort of the type of work that they have cut out for them in Quebec and why I think, from my perspective, this by-election is really important to that party.
Okay, Vassy, thanks very much.
You bet.
Political change can come from the ballot box, obviously, and sometimes it rises from the streets. As Toronto reels from a series of cyclist and pedestrian deaths, today's call for change was impossible to miss. Here's Jacqueline Hansen.
Dozens of cyclists gather to ride in honor of one. Aaron Rankine Wright was struck and killed by an SUV last week. Police say he was targeted. Still, other cyclists here feel Toronto's streets put them all at risk.
It's really unsettling, and people are frightened. I'm frightened.
I'm a big risk taker, but it seems like it's not even worth it.
Aaron was one of my neighbors. He was 19, and my son is 20. The streets aren't safe. They're not safe for children. They're not safe for moms. We got to do something.
The teen is one of 3 cyclists who died this month after being struck on Toronto streets. And just last week, a pedestrian was killed in a hit and run.
I feel that something has changed in the air. Drivers seem to have a less respect for cyclists and pedestrians right now than I can remember.
Canada's busiest urban centre has a plan to reduce traffic-related deaths to 0. But these 3 deaths in such quick succession seem to highlight that the city's goal is still far off. On Friday, Toronto's mayor said he would push for an additional $13 million to try to make it happen.
I've been horrified by the continued rise in deaths involving pedestrians and cyclists being hit by cars and trucks. And in the past few days, we've once again seen how dangerous and deadly our streets can be.
It's not hard for urban planner Brad Bradford to find an intersection he thinks is unsafe.
You have a sign here for pedestrians and cyclists that says wait for gap. You also have a sign there that tells drivers to yield to pedestrians. So inherently, we're sort of set up for a conflict.
Cyclist and city council hopeful Bradford says street designs from the 1950s need to be modernized.
I think the infrastructure is failing everybody in that sense. I mean, it doesn't do any service to drivers, pedestrians, or cyclists. Right now, we know we're at kind of this critical moment where it's not working.
The cyclists here say they feel that firsthand and want change, not more memorials. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
So as you see there, other cities have managed to make cycling safer. How did they do it? Here are some of the standout ideas. Copenhagen changed the timing of traffic light changes so they were coordinated with the speed of bikes, not cars. New York dropped speed limits by 5 miles per hour on 90% of the city streets. That way, when collisions happen, they are less likely to be fatal. And Seattle has turned some residential streets into what they're calling greenways that discourage car use and encourage cycling and walking. There's lots more still ahead on tonight's National. Former MP Paul Dewar has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. In the Sunday interview, he talks with Rosie about facing death by embracing life. And another volcano erupts, threatening the precious Galapagos. Plus, here at home, lobster season takes a hit to protect the North Atlantic right whale.
Like, I'm mad because you guys seen all the lobsters we're catching, and we're gonna be losing that, and we're gonna go in another area that's crowded.
On the National tonight, Colombians have elected a new president who promises to revise a controversial peace deal. Ivan Duque wants to change Colombia's agreement with the FARC rebels. The deal won the outgoing president a Nobel Peace Prize, but Duque considers it too lenient. His election could also signal a return to hardline tactics in the drug war. And we're keeping an eye on Osaka, Japan, where a 6.1 magnitude earthquake has struck. Japanese media are reporting some people are hurt, including a 9-year-old girl. That quake left 170,000 residents without power. The bullet train service has also been suspended. And 22 people are recovering tonight after gunmen opened fire at an arts festival in New Jersey early this morning. Among the victims, a 13-year-old boy who is in critical condition. One of the gunmen was shot and killed. Another is in hospital. A third is in custody. Authorities say the violence appears to be gang-related. On an island in the Galapagos, a volcano is spewing lava into the ocean and sending smoke and gas into the air. After an eruption yesterday, officials say volcanic activity is starting to weaken. The island is uninhabited, but researchers are concerned for the penguins, the iguanas, all the unique wildlife living in the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And Canadian officials have made a move to protect unique wildlife here, specifically the endangered North Atlantic right whale. Right whales have been spotted off the coast of New Brunswick, so today the government closed nearby lobster fishing zones early. Now, a huge swath of the Gulf of St. Lawrence is off limits. Kayla Hounsell spent the day with frustrated fishermen as they packed up their traps.
It's early morning and the Baby Doll 6 is heading out to sea. This crew loves being on the water, but this is a trip they'd rather not make.
I'm really sad, and I'm really mad too.
They've been told they have until noon to get their lobster traps out of the water after right whales were spotted in the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
There'll never be a whale here, for sure.
How do you know that?
Experience.
Last year, 12 North Atlantic right whales were found dead in Canadian waters. Not all of them were discovered tangled up in fishing gear, but the government isn't taking any chances.
There's only 28 feet of water. We're not even 1,000 feet from the beach.
The fishermen have protested, piling empty lobster traps at their MP's office. It didn't work. The government says the whales can venture into shallow water, so we asked a marine biologist to weigh in.
Can these animals go in near shore? Absolutely.
Why do they do that?
Well, it's likely that they're roving looking for food. It's likely that they could be chasing partners around.
The Maritime Fishermen's Union met with the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans on Friday in a last-ditch effort to keep the traps in the water. Fishermen were hoping the government might ease the measures, but Dominic LeBlanc didn't budge.
I think if we don't take robust, science-based, coherent measures to protect these highly endangered North Atlantic right whales, we're really playing Russian roulette with the entire future of the Canadian fish and seafood industries.
So the clock is ticking.
So it's almost 11 o'clock. So I'll probably fish 2 or 3 more, and we'll go and get the other 5 right away.
This crew is moving its traps to an area that remains open, but this crew is calling it quits. The captain has been fishing here for more than 60 years.
There's no sense. There's no sense at all. I never seen the big waves around here since I'm fishing.
The government says it may reopen the fishery in the fall, but the fishermen say that could backfire because they'll be fishing when the lobster are spawning, meaning they could deplete the stock.
They can cause problems on small scales, but this is not a population that is on the edge just yet.
With the deadline rapidly approaching, this crew gets a visit and a warning from DFO officials. They have 10 minutes to get their gear out of the water.
Well, I'm really pissed, really. It's a hard pill to swallow.
They set their traps in the small area still open and head for shore, hoping the government finds a different way to protect right whales next year. Kayla Hounsel, CBC News, off Miscou Island in the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
The government has put other measures in place to protect the right whales. The Coast Guard is enforcing a low-speed zone for larger vessels. The DFO is restricting the amount of rope the fishermen use, and the government is using aircraft surveillance and underwater microphones to find and monitor right whales. Lots more still to come on tonight's program. The controversial Canadians on the front lines of New York's war on opioids. And on the Sunday interview, Rosie sits down with former MP Paul Dewar. He is facing a diagnosis of terminal cancer with a call to action.
What is it in you that even in a moment like this says public service, more public service, give back, find a way? What is it in you that does that?
The real meaning of the word crisis is turning point. And when we have these turning points in our life, when we have loss, when we have pain, we have an opportunity to take that point and do something with it, that turning point.
It is a rare spirit who would see a cancer diagnosis as an opportunity for personal growth, but that's Paul Dewar, ever philosophical. When the popular former MP announced earlier this week that his brain cancer was now terminal, love and support poured in from all sides, and even in the face of such a difficult prognosis, he is determined to make a difference. Rosie sat down with him earlier this week. Their conversation in a moment, but first, a little background.
It is grade 4, which is terminal.
This past Tuesday, Paul Dewar spoke publicly for the first time about his prognosis.
There is no cure. There is treatment.
The former NDP MP confirmed he has glioblastoma, the same kind of brain cancer Gord Downey died from last year. Dewar is well thought of within the party he once represented.
Such a huge heart who's done so much for the community, done so much for progressive politics.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to start by recognizing Paul Dewar.
That respect extends across party lines as well. Now he's giving back and launching an initiative called Youth Action Now. In an open letter, Dewar outlined how he wants to spend his remaining time. I met up with Paul Dewar at his home in Ottawa earlier this week.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Rosemary.
Let's start by how this came about,
Yeah.
like how you found out.
Well, it was actually on February 8th, I went to the Ottawa Civic Hospital because my left arm was give me a lot of pain. It's very heavy. And Julia said to me,
Your wife?
Yes, my wife Julia, said, I think we need to get that looked at. And initially thought maybe it's something to do with my heart, a stroke, maybe a pulled muscle. And I had been out for a very long skate, thought it was just maybe an injury. But
because you're a really fit, athletic guy.
I run, I skate, I'm very active. And so I went into the hospital, and long story short, they did some CT scans. And it just so happened I took my left arm, put it over my head because they were scanning the left arm. And when the results came back, they found a tumor on the right side of my brain. And
like they weren't scanning your head?
No, it was just a complete coincidence that they found it. And you know, some days I think, thank God they found it. Other days I think maybe if they hadn't, I wouldn't have to be dealing with all this. But what happened then was quickly they did a diagnosis that it was a brain tumor. And on February 14th, so just a couple of days later, I had awake cranial brain surgery, which means that I was awake. And I had an amazing surgeon. I joked with my kids. I said, "You can brag that your dad was operated on by Drake, because Dr. Drake happens to be the name of the surgeon." So that was kind of fun. But it happened so quickly. And it was a big shock, and obviously it changed the way things were going in my life.
You only told people though that it was this terminal kind of cancer this week.
That's correct.
Were you worried about saying that out loud?
We were, and I'll be honest with you, we had thought of being public earlier, and I've always been very open, and when we had the diagnosis, we made sure that everyone in our family was part of that. So Nathaniel and Jordan, my two sons, the surgeon asked us, do you want them to be here when we give you the news? And we said, absolutely. And it was a difficult decision because I thought, well, how far did we go with this? But we knew at some point that was going to become public. And so
you are a public person.
Well, and people were aware of what was happening.
Did you think of Jack?
Yeah. I mean, you know, yes. So after the 2011 election, as you know well, we were all hopeful that things had turned around.
Yes.
And then we got that news, and it shook all of us to the core. And I thought, it's different for me. And I thought it's probably a good thing to be open about it as soon as possible, and to share as much as possible with the people that I know and the people who I know would want to know. And so, you know, I learned from his experience. And certainly, yes, he's been on my mind a lot lately.
What happened when that news came out on Tuesday? I couldn't. It was a lot.
It was.
A support came out for you.
You know, and there was incredible love and support from all over the country, from people from all political persuasions, and really was touching. Was all of my colleagues and former colleagues from the House.
We have all heard the very sad news about Paul Dewar, and we're thinking about him and his family. While we may sit on different sides of the aisle, we are all colleagues here together.
On behalf of the entire Conservative caucus and my constituents in Paul Dewar's hometown, we offer him all of our prayers and all of our love in this day.
I always appreciated when people got up in the House to say things genuinely and sincerely, and I saw that response, not expecting it at all, of course, but and that was very touching.
So at what point did you say to yourself, "Oh, this is all happening, and I'm just going to add something else to it and start a youth initiative and try and get some money and start, like, what point did you say, that's a great idea, Paul?"
That's a really good question, Rosie, because it was the question around the House here. The same day I was operated on was the same day as the high school shooting in Florida. And that story really affected me as it did so many people. And it was this really interesting mix of horror, but absolute inspiration, because when I watched, like many people did, the response of those young students who really just said, we're not going to do things the way they've been done before. And we're going to take things on ourselves. And we're going to show so-called adults what matters. But I don't know about you, but I was so friggin' inspired by that. And that stayed with me. And then I thought of all the things I'd done as a teacher, as an MP, and the things that I really enjoyed doing. And then started talking to Julia and friends and thought, let's do something. I've got some time left to live. And let's live. And let's do something with that time I have.
What is it in you that even in a moment like this says public service, more public service?
So when I was diagnosed, I randomly opened up this book, which is a collection of reflections from a parish priest friend of my family's, Father Corbinetti. And it was, the title of it was A Rusty License Plate Called Trust. And the first part of that reflection was, the real meaning of the word crisis is turning point. And when we have these turning points in our life, when we have loss, when we have pain, we have an opportunity to take that point and do something with it, that turning point. And I just took that and thought, this is a turning point in my life. What am I going to do with it? And I just thought, this is actually, and this is going to sound strange, but this is it's a gift that's been given to me to do something with. And so when I saw my mom, Nathaniel and Jordan, and thought about them, I just decided that, you know, this is their youth, they're young guys, and I see what's happening in the world. I thought, let's do this.
There was a quote in the, I think it was the Ottawa Citizen article that struck me. I think it's from your pastor, who said, you face death and walk back into life.
It's exactly, it's so true.
I had never heard that before.
No, and it's Brian Cornelius, who's a minister who's been helping me through this journey. And he said, first of all, I said when I the diagnosis, and he said, well, I'll give you my best, summation from someone who's a pastor, and he said, this sucks. Which is what my son Jordan said too. And I said, you went to how many years of seminary school or ministry to come up with it, but he was right. But then he said to me, what you're really dealing with is what you're having to do is to face death and walk back into life. And I know we've all in our culture talked about the fact that death is going to happen, but we also avoid it when we can, right? Yeah. And I've held on to that because it's so true. And that's the gift part. I mean, we all are going to die, right? And so it's a matter of what we do with this life we have. And so Brian's point was that that the timelines may be a little earlier than you might have thought. But you now walk back into life and you can decide how that's going to work.
It's a beautiful way of thinking about it.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And it's been so helpful.
You've got, this legacy piece that you're trying to get in place. Yeah. You're spending time with your friends, your family, you're visiting your colleagues. What is the thing that you want a little bit more of?
I really would just like to have more time with those two guys and Julia. And if I could steal more of that time, and I hopefully will, that's what I want.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Nice to see you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And just a reminder that what could end up being part of Paul Dewar's legacy launches the day after tomorrow. Youth Action Now is a new organization that brings together diverse youth to improve their lives and the world. Dewar, who created the group with some friends, calls it a grassroots effort to support change. And he says his terminal cancer diagnosis made him more determined than ever to support young people. This launches on Tuesday. Straight ahead on tonight's National, New York's opioid crisis and the controversy around the Canadians helping the city become the first in the U.S. to open supervised injection sites.
And the truth is, what's going on here isn't working. If it was working, we wouldn't be in the crisis that we're in, and people wouldn't be dying.
These are the walking wounded, casualties of the U.S. opioid crisis. On the streets of New York City, scenes of despair play out again and again, and lives lived on the edge are constantly at risk. Every day in the United States, an estimated 115 people overdose and die. That is fueling a push for supervised injection sites, a controversial measure that's already used in Canada, but in the States, it is practically untested and highly suspect. On tonight's Dispatch, Stephen D'Souza zeroes in on New York and the birth of a movement.
Come on in. I want you to just watch your step.
This is a tour of Manhattan most people never see. Tucked away in a park behind a major bridge, a makeshift den, where drug users come to get away and get high.
So this is a place to use here?
This is right here is a place to use.
The ground is littered with the remnants of the drug epidemic sweeping the city and the country.
And this is going to be pretty busy between the day this week, so I'm going to leave these supplies right here.
As an outreach worker, Mike Bailey leaves fresh needles and life-saving naloxone, the medicine used to quickly reverse some overdoses. He says it's a lifeline for those living on the fringes.
We're not that far from society, but if somebody OD, nobody's to know.
There's an overdose death in New York every 7 hours, more than 1,400 in the city last year alone, more than suicides, murders, and car accidents combined. Over 80% involved opioids.
How bad is the problem with drug use in this area right now?
I'm not going to say it's critical, but it's serious.
So we got 1,500 syringes out of St. Mary's yesterday and 800 out of Tremont today.
New York's debate over supervised injection sites is one Mark Townsend knows all too well. The longtime BC housing activist helped found North America's first safe injection site in Vancouver. 2 years ago, he came to New York to work for harm reduction agencies here.
It's a bit deja vu, and that's a bit upsetting because you can see what happened in Canada is going to happen here.
In the late 90s, with HIV rates soaring and overdose deaths reaching record levels, Townsend was part of a group that fought all the way to the Supreme Court to open and keep a supervised injection facility in Vancouver. Its goal, to give drug users a place to use safely, under supervision, with access to support services.
Board for July 1 or no?
Townsend's wife, Liz Evans, was part of that group. She's now executive director at New York Harm Reduction Educators. She says despite the research done in Vancouver and more than 100 supervised sites around the world, the debate in America is still in the early stages.
Because it's still a fairly new idea here. It hasn't been around in the public conscience for a long time, so people have a lot of questions, and there's still a lot of education that needs to be done.
From Seattle to Philadelphia, San Francisco to Massachusetts, and now New York, plenty of American jurisdictions have studied, even promised to open supervised injection sites, but so far, no city has taken that controversial next step. New York's mayor supports the sites, wanting to label them overdose prevention centers. A city health department study says the 4 sites being proposed could save more than 130 lives a year. But like elsewhere, opposition is strong. Some don't want the problem in their backyard. The sites are also still illegal under U.S. law. Staten Island District Attorney Michael McMahon told CBC News in a statement, "I believe creating supervised injection sites undermines prevention and treatment efforts and only serves to normalize the use of these deadly drugs." For agencies like the one Mark Townsend now works with, it means finding an alternative that can blur legal lines.
So this is it here?
Yeah, this is the bathroom. We have 2 operating here.
Canadian Jesse Reed worked at Vancouver's injection site before moving here in October. He joined Townsend at the Washington Heights Corner project, where their bathrooms have generated plenty of controversy. Drug users, whom they call participants, are given 15 minutes alone, no questions asked. They're given supplies if they need them.
You all right? You actually have 5 minutes left.
Every 5 minutes, someone checks on them. If there's no response, Jesse and the other staff are prepared with a closet full of life-saving supplies to treat overdoses.
Personally, I think it's barbaric that we have to pretend this is a bathroom in order to do service provision, but we have to do what we have to do.
Townsend and Evans' time in BC didn't end well. In 2014, they were under a cloud of controversy. An internal audit commissioned by the BC government found questionable expenses, and the two were forced out. Townsend maintains there was no misspending, and the expense reviews were politically motivated.
I think when you try and change things and when you have political battles, you get lots of scars.
Here in New York, they have an audience eager to hear the gospel of harm reduction. They also frequently return to Vancouver, bringing with them police, prosecutors, and politicians to show insight in action. Townsend says the challenge is convincing Americans that the war on drugs isn't the best approach.
Having been around this block, it's depressing that that's their starting position. If I always feel if you could sit down with them, or like we've done with other people, show them the reality of these things, they'd change their mind.
There are more battles ahead. New York is studying its legal options, and Evans says, like in Canada, where nothing came easy, they could end up in court.
And the truth is, what's going on here isn't working. If it was working, we wouldn't be in the crisis that we're in, and people wouldn't be dying.
Jesse Reed says the evidence is here in this bathroom, where they haven't had a single overdose death.
I left a battle zone, and I came into another one. But, hopefully our experience can benefit people here, and we can actually change the way things are right now.
I don't judge nobody what they do, because I was there.
Back on our tour, Michael Bailey says he hopes some Canadian influence can convince those in power that change is needed on these streets.
We have to put pressure on them, showing them that it works in Amsterdam, it works in Canada, it will work in New York.
Until then, he's going to keep working, helping those he can, and picking up the pieces of the lives lived in the city's darkest corners. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Now, as Stephen said, Canada's fight over supervised injection sites went all the way to the Supreme Court. They can be operated legally, but that doesn't mean they are universally accepted. In fact, it is expected to be a controversial issue with Ontario's incoming government.
Anyone out there, if your son, daughter, loved one ever had an addiction, would you want them to go in a little area and do more drugs? I am dead against that.
Ontario's next Premier, Doug Ford, campaigned on a promise to shut down the sites and to focus more on rehabilitation. The previous Liberal government approved 7 facilities, 5 are now in operation.
We really worked hard with a group of architects and builders to create a very warm, welcoming and safe, respectful space for our clients.
Supporters say lives are being saved while also admitting the optics can be ugly for non-users.
It's good in one way, but it's not good in another way as for family-wise. People don't want their kids seeing things like this.
When Toronto's Board of Health meets tomorrow, it will consider a motion that urges the province to maintain support for overdose prevention. Up next on this Father's Day, our moment of the day celebrates an 8-year-old superhero, a little boy whose quick thinking might just have saved his dad.
I was like really afraid. I just stayed calm, but I'm just so afraid and shocked.
Here are some stories we're following on the National this week. The man convicted in the kidnapping of Canadian journalist Amanda Lindhout will be sentenced tomorrow. Lindhout was held captive in Somalia for over a year. Ali Omar Adar was found guilty last year and faces life in prison. Also tomorrow, the public inquiry into convicted serial killer Elizabeth Wetlaufer. We're expected to hear from the employer who wrote Wetlaufer a reference letter after she was fired. That letter helped Wetlaufer find a new job at other care homes where she killed another patient and attempted to kill 2 more. In all, the former nurse is convicted of killing 8 of her elderly patients. And on Friday, the 2018 NHL draft gets underway in Dallas. The first Canadian team to pick will be Montreal, in third spot after finishing 28th out of 31 teams. Ottawa, Vancouver, and Edmonton will also have picks in the top 10. Now, on Father's Day, we hear lots of stories of kids paying tribute to their dads. But for one Calgary family, it is dad saying thanks to his son. In February, Mike Pozo was making dinner when he suffered a stroke. 8-year-old Max was nearby and thinking fast. He immediately recalled a lesson he had just learned at school, and he called 911 right away, possibly saving his dad's life. Their story is our moment of the day.
I told my dad to do the 3 tests, arms, smile, and a speech. The speech I thought was okay, kind of bad, kind of okay. Arms, good, but the smile was just one side up, one side down. Then I realized it was something really serious.
It's a testament to the school and the Heart and Stroke Foundation and stuff like that to go around and teach kids, because you never really know how they're going to react. I mean, I work as a firefighter as a profession, so we go to tons of calls, and there's tons and tons of times when kids are actually doing the work. I have an 8-year-old just put down everything he's doing and run to the situation. I mean, he could have easily been distracted by other things, iPads and stuff like that, but no, he stopped what he was doing and just rushed over, so.
Because I know when my dad's like injured, I just care about him more than my toys. I just care about him. He's my family.
Okay, that's the answer. Max's dad, by the way, suffered 80% mobility loss in his left arm and leg when this happened a few months ago, but he has recovered. He went back to work as a firefighter just about a week ago. That is the National for Sunday, June 17th.